Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 118. So we've talked about Prince Andrew the last few days. It's been the hot topic in the case for the last few days, as well as it should be. So we know that U.S. Attorney Berman came out and said that Prince Andrew was uncooperative and he was not helping the investigation at all. So Buckingham Palace released a statement saying that that's not true. Well, in return, U.S. Attorney Berman's office and the federal government said, no, we stand by our statement. You're not being cooperative. So now we see over in England, they're huddling over in the royal family. The Queen and her husband are having crisis meetings with Andrew over this whole entire Epstein thing because, well, now the Met's talking about reopening the investigation that they closed. I shouldn't even say investigation that they closed because it was a sham of an investigation. But they're saying they're going to investigate perhaps Jeffrey Epstein's associates and what they did while they were in London. So now the man who couldn't sweat, I'm sure, is sweating bullets. So we're going to jump to a different topic, but pretty much the same thing. I mean, they're pretty much the same person at this point, right? They're so close. They're such good friends. They've been friends for so long. And when I say they, I mean Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell. There's an article out on ABC News. The headline is, Victims allege Ghislaine Maxwell is purposefully evading the justice system. Well, duh. We know that. There is no doubt about that, right? It's not even alleged. What do you mean alleged? That's exactly what she's doing. She's skulking around in holes like a terrorist. She might as well be in Tora Bora avoiding Apache helicopters and, smart bombs, because that's basically what she's doing. She's skulking around like those people did. Nobody can find her. The media can't find her. She's not making public appearances. The only person speaking for her so far is that Laura Goldman lady. And of course, we have to always take everything with a grain of salt. We don't know. We don't know for sure what's going on with Ghislaine Maxwell. She can be spreading disinformation. She is so used to being in control of the narrative and having things go in the direction that she wants them to go, that do you think it's beyond the realm of possibility that she could be trying to manipulate the situation in the media by talking about the hacked emails, having this Goldman lady come out and make statements on her behalf, etc., etc.? She is very seasoned at espionage and playing these kind of games, folks. All right, so to the article. James Hill is the author, and it came out early this morning, 5/21. Lawyers for several women suing Jeffrey Epstein's longtime friend. This is the way that they write these articles. I don't understand it. Longtime friend, huh? How about co-conspirator and fellow disgustoid? Ghislaine Maxwell contend that the 58-year-old British socialite, oh my lord, well, I can't. She's not a British socialite, okay? She is Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator. Has effectively vanished, frustrating their efforts to hold her accountable for her alleged role in the deceased financier's, pedophile's, sex trafficking operation. Since Epstein's arrest last July and his death in prison a month later, Maxwell's whereabouts have been the subject of intense scrutiny. Various press reports have placed her in Massachusetts, California, France, and Israel, yet none of those sightings has been confirmed. Maxwell has sold her former residences in New York and London and shuttered her nonprofit ocean conservation organization. What is she, Michael Corleone after he clipped the Turk? How does this even happen? How does someone like this just disappear, folks? How does she disappear and nobody knows where she is? How is it that her lawyers don't know where she is? Shouldn't they be forced by the court or compelled by the court to at least acknowledge that they're passing messages on to her or something? I don't even understand how all of that works. Like, where is Ghislaine Maxwell? But what this goes to show you, though, is what I was talking about. how she's very shrewd and she knows what she's doing here, folks, and she's not playing games. She's been around these kind of people her whole life. We know that her father, Robert Maxwell, was much more than just a media mogul. We know that for a fact. Media moguls don't get buried with state burials. They're not afforded that privilege. And we also know that he was neck deep in ties to the military intelligence in Israel. There's reports about him being tied to the KGB. And of course, the CIA had their paws on him as well. But what that does is that brings Maxwell up around these sort of people, and she grew up in a whole different kind of world than you or I, in my opinion. She grew up, her world was more a close resemblance to something in Game of Thrones, something you'd see the Lannisters do to each other. That's the way she grew up, in my opinion. That's the best analogy I can give you, because it was a cutthroat world where she was at. She was being groomed to be an asset for her whole life, even if she didn't know she was. Maxwell, represented by attorneys from a Colorado law firm, is currently contesting the disclosure of previously sealed documents in a now settled defamation lawsuit brought against her in federal court in New York by Virginia Roberts, who alleges that Epstein and Maxwell sexually abused her as a teenager and directed her to have sex with powerful men, including Britain's Prince Andrew. Now just think about that for a minute, folks. Let that sit in. Let those charges sit in. Let those allegations sit in. And if it was anybody else, anyone you knew, they would be in big trouble. They wouldn't be skulking around at safe houses and avoiding justice and avoiding the FBI. You're telling me the FBI has no idea where she is? And if they don't, well, that's definitely a failure of the Bureau. And they need to rectify that ASAP, because this lady is basically thumbing her nose not only at the system, folks, but at all of these survivors, telling them to all, whatever, you'll never catch me, I'll do whatever I want. I'm Ghislaine Maxwell, and when this all blows over, I'll be right back there on Madison Avenue, taking my place amongst the other elite sick jobs. Boy, isn't New York high society fantastic, folks? Don't you wish you were a part of that? Oh my, what a bunch of disgusting people. But according to court records, those lawyers have declined to accept service of the new lawsuits on Maxwell's behalf, saying that Maxwell has not authorized them to do so. All right, so that answers my question from up above. So maybe these lawyers have no idea where she is either. Maybe Maxwell has gone to the mattresses and gone to ground that deep, that she is burrowed that deep in some deep dark hole, that even these lawyers have no clue where she's at. Again, not a bad strategy. If you're going on the lam, then why would you let your lawyers know? Then they could get served on your behalf, etc., etc. What Maxwell is doing, well, what she is doing is playing spy games, folks. Maxwell's attorneys have not responded to requests for comment from ABC News. Maxwell has previously denied allegations that she facilitated or participated in Epstein's alleged crimes. Prince Andrew has also denied allegations that he ever had sex with Roberts, as she contends on 3 occasions in 2001. Let me just add, nobody believes him, okay? Nobody believes you, Prince Andrew. None of us on this podcast do. I think you're lying. That's my opinion. I'm sorry. All you have done is proven to be unreliable in this whole entire thing. Everything you've said is proven to be BS. So why should anyone believe you, buddy? The relationship between Maxwell and Epstein, who died in prison last year after being indicted on sex trafficking charges, is the subject of the latest episode of ABC News' Truth and Lies, Jeffrey Epstein, an 8-part podcast focusing on Epstein and the women who survived his crimes. So make sure you guys click on the link inside of the description box so you can go check out this podcast if you want, right through the hyperlink here, and it'll take you right there. Decent podcast. I definitely suggest it if you're looking for more content to suck up. It never hurts. Look, I try and suck up everything possible when it comes to this case because there's so many twists and turns. I don't want to miss something, right? That, for as much grief as I give places like ABC, et cetera, every now and then there's a pearl, right? There's something that nobody else has reported on maybe, or something we might have missed. So I think it's important to consume all of this stuff, and that's what I do. The Oxford-educated daughter of Robert Maxwell, the larger-than-life publishing baron whose rags-to-riches story captivated England, she lived an extravagant life among the British elite until her father's business empire collapsed in the wake of his death. She fled to New York looking for a fresh start and was soon seen in the company of the mysterious multimillionaire, aka pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. So it was just coincidence, right, that these two people met up. Just by happenstance. It wasn't facilitated by anyone, right? No. The intelligence agencies didn't see a match made in heaven and decide to, make it happen. Nah. It's just all coincidence, folks. Everything in this case is always and will be coincidence. That's what they want us to believe. That's what they want us to believe. In recent months, 3 women have named Maxwell as a co-defendant in lawsuits against Epstein's estate, which is valued at more than $500 million according to court filings. One of them, Jennifer Araz, who sued Maxwell and Epstein's estate in August, claims that she was recruited in New York as a 14-year-old into Epstein's scheme of exploitation and abuse, and is seeking to hold Maxwell responsible for her alleged role as the second in command of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking enterprise. Wow. That's damning, folks. That is damning. So you have Jennifer Araz calling it what it is, a trafficking enterprise, an ongoing criminal conspiracy, folks. RICO. But her legal team's efforts to track down Maxwell have come up empty. We have made repeated efforts to locate Miss Maxwell, including engaging surveillance services. Bill Kaiser, an attorney for Araz, told ABC News. We have thus far been unable to find her for the purposes of serving her with the complaint. Wow. So look, even professional surveillance people who have been hired by the attorney and Jennifer have come up short, have not been able to find her. Do you think normal people can hide like that, folks? You can't, all right? If you or I were trying to hide like that, we'd get caught. They'd find us. We'd get served. We'd look silly. Well, Maxwell, she was built for this. This is the game she was built for. And if anybody thinks that they're going to smoke her out without doing serious groundwork, I have news for you. It's not going to happen. She has totally went to ground. And I'm not talking Henry Hill eating, noodles with ketchup going to ground. She is really dug in deep, all right? And when intelligence agencies put people somewhere in safe houses or move them around, the only way you could usually find out where they are is a leak. Somebody rats and speaks about it because look, this is the game that they love to play. And it's telling that Maxwell is playing this game instead of coming forward and facing the music. She knows she's guilty. In my opinion, she knows she's guilty and she knows she is about to get work done on her. Because she's going to get the whole entire world, every charge you can possibly imagine is going to get slammed on her. Once the first one comes in, they're going to pile on. Wait and see. So what needs to happen is Ghislaine Maxwell needs to be brought in. There needs to be an APB out for her, put her on the FBI top 10, whatever it takes, but she needs to be brought in and she needs to talk. And she's not alone. This week, attorneys for Annie Farmer, 40, who sued Maxwell and Epstein's estate in November, alleging that Epstein and Maxwell trafficked her from Arizona to Epstein's New Mexico ranch in 1996, where she claims Maxwell sexually assaulted her, filed a petition with a federal judge in Manhattan outlining their unsuccessful attempts to find Maxwell. Their efforts to serve her with notice of the lawsuit, they wrote, have included extensive public record searches that located various addresses for Maxwell in the United States, yet no one has been able to locate Maxwell at any of those addresses. An email attaching the summons to the only publicly known email address for Maxwell, they informed the court, did not receive a response. So where are these 2-foot-high piles of hate mail she's been getting going to? Pretty interesting, right? Just more obfuscation, folks. More shadow. More games. That's all Maxwell is doing here. She's trying to buy time so she can bargain her way out of this with the dossiers they have compiled on these people. That is exactly what she's doing, in my opinion. Maxwell should not be permitted to dodge Miss Farmer's allegations of serious wrongdoing against her, wrote Farmer's attorney Joshua Schiller of Boyes, Schiller, Flexner, LLP. Farmer's attorneys are now asking the judge overseeing her case to rule that they've done all they can reasonably to try to locate Maxwell, an informer of the lawsuit. Maxwell has been using this court as a sword and shield for many years, and she, Jeffrey Epstein, and their other co-conspirators have attempted to thwart their victims from obtaining justice for decades, Schiller wrote. Maxwell must face the allegations against her, and the court should deem the service methods attempted to be sufficient. Hear, hear. Absolutely 100%. The court should step in and say enough is enough. Time for you to come forward there, Miss Maxwell. Time for you to start the process of facing the justice you so deserve. A third woman, identified in court records as Jane Doe, sued Maxwell and Epstein's estate earlier this month, alleging that they recruited her as a 13-year-old music student in 1994. She contends that she was sexually abused by Epstein on multiple occasions over the next 4 years, and that Maxwell regularly facilitated Epstein's abuse and was frequently present when it occurred. How many more people need to come forward and say that this happened? All right, Maria Farmer came forward and told everybody that this was happening, and nobody believed her. And because nobody believed her, all of this other stuff that happened afterwards was allowed to happen because Epstein was being enabled. Think about that, folks. A 13-year-old girl, a music student, a 13-year-old music student. Think about how disgusting and reprehensible that is. Attorneys for the anonymous plaintiff declined to comment, but there is no indication so far in the court record that they have located Maxwell. Sources tell ABC News that Maxwell is under criminal investigation by federal authorities in New York, who have vowed to hold responsible any alleged co-conspirators in Epstein's sex trafficking conspiracy. You see, folks, that plays into what I'm talking about. I think Maxwell is buying time, and she has these dossiers, she has this blackmail material, and she's seeing what sort of deal she can work out. And it would have been best for her if Epstein would have still been alive, because she could have really just spilled the beans and gotten herself off. But now, she's the one left holding the bag. She's the point person. She's numero uno, which she was anyway, but behind the scenes. But now it's there for everyone to see. Earlier this week, U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman, the top federal prosecutor in Manhattan, told reporters at a news conference outside Epstein's New York townhouse that authorities had received zero cooperation from Prince Andrew, despite his earlier public statements that he would be willing to talk to authorities in the United States. Buckingham Palace has repeatedly declined to comment on the matter. Prince Andrew told BBC in an interview in November that he met Epstein through his friendship with Maxwell, whom he said he had known since her college years. He had last seen Maxwell in England, he said, in the spring of 2019, about a month before Epstein's arrest. Wow. Again, folks, how is this lady still free? It is obvious. Just read the articles. Even the most skeptical person who doesn't believe that this was a criminal conspiracy, okay? Whoever that person is, wherever they are, they have to even see that Ghislaine Maxwell is being accused by multiple people of the same exact thing. What do you think? These girls got together and they came up with this story? They formulated this story together? Hell no. They all have the same story because it's true, and all of this happened to them. And Maxwell gets to run around, and she's going to get to enjoy her weekend again, while these girls, these survivors, have to deal with this nonsense of this lady not stepping up and facing the music. It's BS, folks. Definitely BS, and it's going to be a good day, and we're going to pop a bottle here on this show when the day comes. The day that Ghislaine Maxwell gets arrested, folks, is the day that I drink a bottle of champagne right here live on this show, and I don't even drink alcohol, but that is worth a bottle of champagne. Definitely. All right, if you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. If you would like to help support the podcast, you can do that by clicking on the link inside of the description box, the GoFundMe link. And also, make sure you click on the article so you can check out those hyperlinks, and there's a little video in the article as well for you to check out. So I will be back tomorrow with the usual, and I will talk to you all then. I hope you all have a fantastic evening.